If you're a scholarship worker, this is what you get. Hard work. No, really. My name is Diane Harden, and I'm the committee chair of the scholarship program. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, but first I wanted to put in a little pitch for scholarship. We're looking for new individuals, so if you want to do something other than dig, join our scholarship committee. We'd love to have you. It's a lot of work, but it's a timeline work. So this is the end of the scholarship. You've got the rest of the 6 months off if you want to do something else. Really, we start in January. It's interesting, you use your brain, you think of different things to do about scholarships. It's really lots of fun. So think about it, send me an email or call and ask me what it's all about. I'll give you a synopsis. Okay, it's my very good pleasure today to introduce John Paul. He had a variety of top jobs. I was just watching all the flowers come in, sorry about that. Jobs in Hot Springs Village. Golf superintendent was his big one, and that's how he met Gene. And they were kind of like joined at the hip when he had a project, and he will tell you about it. But he also was an interim director for a period of time. They were looking for an interim director, and what they do, they called John. And of course he said yes. And he's just very well known in the village, and he's going to tell you all about Gene. This is somebody that really, really knows Gene, because I know there's so many of you that Gene was before your time. So you'll find this really interesting. Come on up, Gene. Let's get the show on the road. John. I'm sorry, I called him Gene and it's John. I'm so sorry. I've known him for a long time. Thank you.
Hi folks, glad to be here today to talk about Gene Licklider. I know the scholarship's named after him, and it's rightly so. This man was one special human being. I don't know if I ever met anybody quite like him. I first met Gene, I'm really not sure what year it was that he moved to the village, but I started in '98, so he would have been early 2000s probably. And he introduced himself to me after he got here. He'd been involved in the garden club, and he said, if there's any projects I can help you with, I'd be more than happy to help you. Well, a lot of you didn't know Gene, but Gene was a farmer from Illinois, and he used to go back in the summertime to southern Illinois and do farming, and then come back to the village and do work with the garden club and all sorts of projects. Well, we started building one of the golf courses in 2000, in actually '99 in Hot Springs Village. Isabella was the first one we tackled, and he helped with the landscaping around the clubhouse there. But where I really got to know Gene was when we built Granada Golf Course. If any of you have played out there, the 18th hole is quite special. We were talking about it one day, and I said, and it wasn't in the drawings at the time, I said, I can picture a waterfall down this 18th hole. And he said, you know, that's interesting. And I talked to the architect, Tom Clark, about it, and he said, yeah, he said, I thought it would be too expensive. He thought about it too, but I said, well, let's see what we could do. So I called one of the contractors in town to get a bid on the waterfall, and came in at a little over $250,000. And said, no, we're not going to do that. That's a little crazy. But I was standing there with one of my construction workers, and he said, we can build it. And I said, what do you mean we can build it? He said, we can do that. And this was when we were building the golf course. The number 9 hole is, and if any of you know the area, it's loaded with shale rock underneath the topsoil, which is about 2 inches, maybe.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, that's exactly right. And so they were blowing up the fairway anyway to get it down to height. And they took all that rock and put it over on the waterfall and lined it. And we built that entire waterfall with the recirculating pump and everything for $22,000, which is just an amazing feat. But the where Gene comes into play on this is, I said, Gene, we got to landscape this. And that was a major project from top to bottom to landscape that. And if you've eaten at Granada or been out there, you've seen the waterfall, and that is entirely his work. Around the front of the clubhouse, around the back of the clubhouse, that's Gene. And he imagined it, and we just let him go. He bought all the plants, and he had a crew that worked on it, but that was an amazing thing. And then one day, about 2 years later, I called him and I said, now we're going to redo Cortez. He said, let me guess, you need some landscaping. And I said, yeah, we do. And so he took that project on and did the entire clubhouse area around that golf course. So Gene was an amazing person. He did the front bed at the POA building out there, along with some helpers that did it. But you name an area of the village that had the gates, whatever it was, Gene had his hand in it. And she wanted me to talk about Gene today because many of you didn't know who he was. But Gene would leave for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month at a time, building Habitat for Humanity in Central or South America, and then come back and do his thing in the village with the garden club. But quite a person, Gene Licklider. I don't know if I've ever met anybody quite like him. I did call him one last time before I retired, and he said, I don't think I can get out there anymore. He was getting to where he couldn't get around, and I said, well, if you can just conceptualize it, we'll get the workers to do it. And he did in one of the last 9 holes we built on Isabella. But that's Gene Licklider to a T. So now you know a little bit more about the man and who he was, and the world needs more people like him, I'll say that. So that's Gene. You want to do the scholarships now?
Sure.
Okay. We've got 4 scholarships in his name to give away today, and we're going to talk about each one of them as we go. The first one is Jessica Springfield. This is Jessica. She graduated from Lake Hamilton High School in 2023 and just completed her freshman year at Arkansas Tech University studying pre-allied health. She has a strong work ethic, juggling a full college schedule, a part-time job in the physical therapy field, extracurricular activities including kinesiology, pre-med, lifting clubs, and running her own private business. In high school, she was a straight A student while serving an officer on FFA as an officer in FFA and FBLA, receiving several awards in each one. She took college classes at National Park while in high school, further demonstrating her desire to succeed in academics and in her future. Jessica Springfield. Congratulations, Jessica. She couldn't be here today, but she was in spirit. All right, she's going to...
John?
Yes.
Take a picture with her.
Oh, we have... Our next scholarship winner is Faith Lavender.
Faith is slow moving today.
Now, Faith graduated this year from Fountain Lake Charter High School. She plans to attend National Park College in the fall, studying agriculture and the veterinary technical program. She was a member of FFA and 4-H for many years and loves working the farm and helping other people. She readily volunteers for community service whenever the opportunity arises, logging many hours throughout her high school career. She has worked with the Garland County Master Gardeners and Fountain Lake Greenhouse and is grateful to have had the opportunity to work with them and learn from them. She values her education, and she will represent the Jean Licklider Memorial Scholarship to the best of her ability. Congratulations to Faye. I'm sure we want a picture.
Open the scholarship, please. Open it.
Oh, let me open this so they see it.
Yeah, so it's legit.
So, yeah, this makes it legitimate.
Thank you, you look so young.
Here you go. Here's your scholarship, Miss.
I need that.
Our third scholarship goes to Garrison Martin. Garrison is a repeat recipient of the Garland County Master Gardener Scholarship. He attends Southern Arkansas University majoring in agricultural business. He aspires to work for the Extension Agency and run his own business on the side one day. His agriculture instructor and FFA advisor at Lake Hamilton High School said Garrison is a natural positive leader, and this young man has more grit than anybody he's seen with his peers. Through his work with FFA and 4-H, Garrison worked hard ensuring younger kids in our community have the agricultural knowledge, thereby strengthening the chapter and Garland's 4-H county program. Garrison has the knowledge and leadership skills to succeed in anything he chooses to be a part of. Your scholarship recipient, Garrison Martin.
That looks so good.
Great. Congratulations, Garrison.
What was that?
We're gonna change your picture to that in a directory.
Need a cowboy hat?
Our fourth recipient is Aaron Humphrey. Aaron is also a repeat recipient of the Garland County Master Gardener Scholarship. He graduated from National Park College this May and plans to transfer to Southern Arkansas University to pursue a bachelor degree in wildlife and conservation biology. During the 23 summer break, he worked with U.S. Forest Service in the Jessieville Ranger District of the Ouachita National Forest in the Youth Conservation Corps program. This experience taught him even greater respect for the outdoors and the natural resources that we have at hand here. One of the former instructors at NPC said he is a representative of the model student. His future in whatever field he pursues is very bright. The scholarship recipient, Aaron Humphrey.
Hey, Granddad.
You want to say a few words?
I sure can.
Come on.
All right. Like Mr. Paul was saying, I'm a repeat recipient. This is actually my third time, and each time I come here and receive this award, I get to meet new and different people. I've met many different people today that I didn't meet last 2 years, but as I've come here, I've just realized how much Mr. Gene meant to all of you, and I hope that I'm able to respect and honor what he did.
Did you follow in Gene's footsteps, you will do well. Good job. You want to say something, Dan?
John Paul just made me think of two things, how I met Gene. And it was way back in 2010. Yeah, that's why you're walking around with one of these. Anyway, it was my first adventure out, and it was a garden, you know. So we went, you know how you look at the gardens and pick a winner every month. So my mentor couldn't come with me. It was my very first adventure out. So I'm out there and I'm walking around looking at these gardens and these flowers, and I'm going, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh my God, I don't know what that is. And so I hooked up to two ladies that were talking about the flowers, and I said, this is right where I have to be. So I introduced myself and said, my mentor's not here, do you mind if I join you? And they said, no, you know, come on. So I were walking a little bit, and about 5 minutes later, this man came up to me and said, who are you? And I introduced myself and said I was brand new, and it was Gene. And he said, where do you live? I said, well, I live in the village. And it's got big, and it's like, oh boy, here's a good one. So that's how I met him. And then about 4 days later, this was late in the year, maybe September or October, and about 4 days later, my phone rang and said, this is Gene Lichleiter, and I'm going, who is this person? You know, the name, it was the only time I met him. The name, and he said, oh, you met me at the garden. You know, we were looking at this yard. And I go, oh, yeah. And he said, what are you doing 3 days from now? You know, I was on the phone, but my eyes got real big and thought, oh no, now what? Well, he was in charge of the poinsettia show, or the poinsettias, selling the poinsettias in the village and Hot Springs. He said, can you help with it? And I said, well, what is it? And so he told me all about it. And he said, all you have to do is sell them and carry them around and deliver them. And I go, okay, well, I'll try this, you know. That was the first time I got hooked up with Gene. And if you had caller ID, you loved it because you knew who was calling. And it used to be, hi Gene, what can I do for you? That's how I met him. And it was so funny because a few days later we had a meeting, and apparently, you can verify this, any woman that he worked with him and he saw, he'd go, hi babe. You'd turn around, you look, the first time you had no clue who you were talking to, and then you turn around and you see it was Gene. I think it was a test to see if you knew his name. And then you turn around and say, hi Gene. And the other thing I don't know personally, but she would, Gene worked at Habitat for Humanity in Hot Springs. And in, I don't know the year, but we gave him a golden shovel because he did 100 Habitat houses. Wow. Yeah, that's the kind of man that we're talking about and why we named the scholarship program in his name. So thank you, John Paul, for coming and giving us stories about Gene. And we're going to continue on. Folks, if you want your pictures taken quickly, and then we're going to do the second half of the meeting today. Thanks, everybody.
Here's that.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Okay. While photos are being taken over here at the side, we're going to go ahead and keep our business meeting rolling because I don't want this to be an exceptionally long meeting today. Let's go through our officer reports. Secretary Marsha Oliver.
Thank you, Gail. All of the minutes were published in the newsletter recently. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, then they will be published as written. Thank you.
Okay, our financial report, our treasurer is not here. Does anybody have? I know her report was sent out.
Okay, it was in the newsletter. Anybody have any questions?
Okay, yeah, it'll be filed then.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Second Vice President, Lynn Johnson.
Okay, we are proud of you, but we need to keep going, okay? We're halfway there. This is the halfway point for our meeting. We have already had 10,282 sanctioned hours, 477.75 non-sanctioned hours, which is a total of 10,759 and 75.75 total hours. We've also had 2,851 education hours. Hopefully, we'll keep going. Some of you have been certified, and we're very proud of you. Yes, Heldy. Yes.
Add those numbers. There are more numbers out in there.
Okay.
Out there at the table. When you come in, it's a
Right.
poster and it shows the hours as they're reporting as of yesterday.
Oh, okay, great.
This time around,
Since I did that the last time and I was told nobody could read it because it was too small, I went ahead and color-coded things. When you look out there and you find, first of all, there are 2 pairs of glasses in case you're still visually challenged, okay? And then there are color codings. If you're green, you're good. If you are pink, you're old. And if you are blue, you're absent, all right? If you are white, that means hours need to be reported. So you have until December 15th to do it. Please go out there and look, and there is a little note there. I can't really challenge your numbers too much because I have an old brain and I don't remember. But there is a little note there saying the hours as of today. So you can look and add up the hours and look and see how great you're doing. We're proud of you. If you look at it, lots of green, lots of pink, and very few white or clear or whatever. So keep up the good work. We're halfway through. And December 15th rolls around before you know it.
Okay, project guidance, our first Vice President.
Tell Joe.
yes. I have a question. Oh, gosh. I have a question regarding, okay, sorry. I have a question regarding our minutes from the executive committee. There were 15 names listed as guests, but it didn't indicate why they were there. Were those the people who were interested in shadowing the executive committee that Gail offered everybody and invited everybody to come? Anybody that was interested?
Yes.
Okay, there was no information at all why they were there? No questions, no comments, nothing, no reason for them to be there. So I was just wondering.
Yes, there was. If you will look through that, there were comments because Elaine asked every person there what their interest was coming to this meeting. A lot of it was just to say what is going on, knowledge, and some other things. Now, I didn't specifically put every person's response because most of them were repetition. So that it was in the minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay, project guidance, Elaine?
Those people didn't come to volunteer to be officers. All right, on project guidance, we're almost done. I have a list that Denise prepared that I tried to pass around at the board meeting A lot of people didn't fill in the comments about why they're requesting a budget increase. I'm going to resend that out individually to each chair, and let's finish that up so we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay, mentors, first-year master gardeners, and CART. Our past president, Sherry Davis.
Okay, hello everyone. Good to see you. CART, we did finally get started this week. We met with James and his crew at Langston School. So we're in the process of writing that up. We'll get it to Aaron as the next step in the process. And then he will schedule a meeting with the sponsor to go through that. So that's where we are with CART. First year Master Gardeners, I have 4 more who have finished their hours already, so I'd like to congratulate them. All right, if you would come up and get your little Busy Bee pen. Jessica Nix. Karen Owens. Jesse Parker. And Linda Rath.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good work, guys. We're proud of you.
Okay, our county agent report. Aaron.
I just want to thank Diane and the scholarship committee for all their hard work. I think they always do a great job, and honestly, I've only been here like under a year, but one of my favorite parts about the Master Gardener program is that we do give back to our youth. That's a really important part that I think gets missed a lot of times, and especially youth aren't getting involved in agriculture or horticulture, so any way that we can support them I think is great. Next, the county fair is coming up in September. So we are going to be looking for volunteers for that. So if you would like to please sign up for that, you can either contact me or contact Shar, and we can get you going with help on that. A little bit more information on the online training for the Master Gardeners will be coming out in the newsletter next week. So if anyone has any questions for the online training, those questions will be addressed in the newsletter next week.
Okay, we're going to move on to unfinished business now, and I'm going to move a couple of things around just a bit so I can kind of set the stage for this. We are in the process now of beginning to look for next year's officers. Many of you may have heard at our last board meeting, we had a discussion about the 2-year terms. If you'll recall also, our policies and procedures indicates that a chair will stay a chair for only 2 years. It says 2 years. We have had in the past many chairs that would stay in a position, usually because we couldn't find anybody else that would be willing to step up and take that position. However, over the years, we have had various groups various individuals have commented that they were somewhat hesitant to take a chair position because usually it's because they're intimidated. Someone else has been in a position for a long period of time. A new person would be hesitant to step in and take that position because they don't want to step on other people's toes. We have also had some complaints. This was another one that came to me that said certain committees were like cliques. Just certain people worked it and only certain people stayed chair and so forth. That's an issue that has been raised. There has also been an issue raised at times about certain committees where the chair more or less assumed ownership of the project. So because of these various issues that have been coming up, the executive committee has been discussing this for a few months, and at our past board meeting, we simply told our chairs and co-chairs, we are enforcing our policies and procedures. Any committee chair that has been a chair for 2 years will not be a chair next year. We are making sure that all committees have a progression in their chair, co-chair positions. This may be difficult this year. We know there'll be some people that are unhappy with this. We may have some committees that have difficulty finding someone to step up. If no one steps up in a committee, that committee will no longer be a sanctioned project. And this will be enforced from this point on, so just be aware of it. Because one other thing, and this is again part of that unfinished business, we've mentioned in the past that we are recruiting now. We're going to need several new chair positions. We're going to need officers for next year. I have not had anyone step up and say they are willing to be on that recruitment committee for finding those chairs. One caveat, if you are a chair or if you're on that committee, you will not get a call to become a chair or an officer. So if you are interested in doing that and being on that call committee, please see me after the meeting. Okay, I'd like to introduce Randy Forst, who is visiting with us today.
The walking. But we were more or less, I mean, like I said, we only had those rooms to work with. The other rooms we could use were the ones you had to go up more stairs to get to those rooms. So again, that's pretty good. But again, we had to work with the space that we had. But really, I didn't like the distance between you know how the classrooms are set up, and you had to walk from one side to the other. But all in all, food was delicious and great reviews on everything. So again, thank you for that. But we'll discuss more detail with the wrap-up session. And what it's going to be is going to be you and then the upcoming, White County is going to come join. That way they're going to be able to ask y'all questions saying, okay, what do you think will be better for us to do it this way? You've experienced it, tell us. So we're going to have that. And again, I think Julie's booking those rooms. Tricia, I think she talked to you about dates, the better dates. So again, we are also waiting again for all the bills to be paid because we want a financial report too. And as we all know with Workday, that doesn't happen quickly. And I'm not a Workday fan myself, but I know that some of our speakers are still waiting for their check. So again, that's the update on it. So we're going to talk about leadership. You are meant to be a leader. So, okay, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And this is very important. And all you people in here that have kids or grandkids, you don't know it, but you're already a built-in leader. You've raised these kids until they are 13 or 14 and they know everything, and you don't have to worry about that anymore. But again, you are leaders out there. So I'm going to talk about the top 10 rules for recruiting and retaining leaders. And it's not just this group. All groups have this problem throughout the state. So first of all, rule number one, usually if you have a position, you have a job description for that position. And it's very important you have that because it intimidates somebody to fill a position and there's nothing to go by. So, and I'm going to relate this because my last county was in Pulaski County. We had a job description for every position, even the membership at large. We had 2 membership at large on our group executive board. They all had a job. We wanted it that way just so they knew what to expect or what's coming up. So we had that. We also had a project manual that did details of it. We had monthly details. And then when there was some paperwork involved, but we liked that. This way, that person's not intimidated. They know what's expected of them. Attracting the right talent to the right position. This is very, very important. We all have different personalities. And I'm doing a seminar in P&G, so if y'all haven't signed up for P&G, which is our leadership, For County 76, I encourage you to do that because it's open up to all Master Gardeners. And it's all about leadership. So mine's going to be talking about prickly pears and snapdragons. And it more or less pertains to what Gail was thinking. If you don't rotate those chairs, there's ownership going to be developed in there. And they're going to, and people are going to be intimidated about even accepting that. And it's later on my PowerPoint, but when I moved to Pulaski County about 14 years ago, I instilled that in our bylaws. We changed it. They didn't like it. In fact, they hated me for it, but now they wouldn't change it back. It helps, there's no burnout. Honestly, you have chairs that are just doing it over and over and over again because nobody's stepping up to the plate. Plus, changes are good. We have a lot of people that don't want to do change, but believe me, changes are good, new ideas. And most importantly, it gives that chance for a Master Gardener to step up and be a leader. So again, we are a group, we are a team, and we need to think about that when we're doing our projects. Okay, step number 3. What are their strengths? Everybody has strengths in here. So think about that, especially if you're recruiting people for a position. What are they? Are they a sociable person? Are they an organized person? I can tell you if you're a treasurer, you need to know how to do math. So again, think about that. So, that's what I do. I garden, I drink, and I know things. So that's what we need to think about. Again, here are some traits for good leadership. Are they a self-motivated people? Do they care for others? Master Gardeners are that way. I know in Pulaski County, we are so large that our projects, people are assigned to them because there's no way that we have 606 people working on a project. There's not enough bathrooms, there's not enough parking, so they're assigned to the project. Now, if another Master Gardener that's not assigned to that group wants to work on that project, all they have to do is notify that chair, and they've never turned anybody down. The problem that we have is once they're assigned to the project, they do not want to move from that project. State House is one of our oldest projects, 35 years. We still have Master Gardeners alive working on that project and doing a great job. So 35 years, can you imagine? And they do not want to move to one of the other 30 other sanctioned projects. So they must be doing something right. And they're asking, and there is that was one that did not want to do this. Their chairs were in the office for 6 to 8 years. They love it now because it gives that person another new person to come up and take responsibility. And they will not go back to the other way. It just works for them. And so again, think about that. And again, they develop their own, it's kind of like you get involved with a project and you really don't want to leave that project. But the thing is, we tell those chairs, all you're doing is stepping out and letting somebody else take control for 2 years. You are still on that committee. You are still a viable part of that project. You can stay on that project, it's just you're not going to be chair of that project. So think about that. Again, look for these traits. Every one of you in here have many of these traits, and you'll all make great leaders. Rule number 4, recruitment. Member at large. And here's the thing that we did there. We recruited member at large for our executive board. And not only that, we're looking for people for traits that we think are going to move up the chain. And so when you're looking out there and you're recruiting people, think about that. Are they going to fit maybe in a president role or a project manager's role or president role? Think about that, bring them on as a member at large, and they know what to expect. They're at those executive board meetings, and they're not intimidated about stepping up and taking a new position. And this is one way that, it's great for screening these candidates. You know what their potentials are and how well they can handle, anything. All right. Also, committee members, we have a lot of standing committees, and those standing committees need chairs and co-chairs. So this is one way to do that. Many people, social committee, I'm using it for instance, you want a social person probably to do social committee. It's just, and a lot of you are all social and you qualify for that. Newbie Master Gardeners, again, we do not limit that. We have newbies in fact, when we are screening candidates for the program, we're looking for that already. When we're interviewing those candidates to take that program, we're thinking, oh wow, the more we talk to them, the more we know about them, then we kind of start conditioning them. First we get them in to take the training, then we're hoping they finish the training, and then we hook them. So this is what you need to be thinking for when you are interviewing candidates for the program. Rule number 5, there is a set timeline. This is where it goes back to having that set time. We had a chair for that project for 2 years. We had a co-chair underneath them. When the chair stepped off, the co-chair stepped up. All they had to do was bring in another co-chair. That co-chair knew what was going on because she's been working with that chair the whole time. She's been working with that committee the whole time. There was no intimidation whatsoever. They followed through. Because usually if the chair wasn't at that project meeting that day or that time, that co-chair stepped up to the plate and handled everything. So it's not like you're, just dropping the ball. They know what's good and they know what's required. Even our projects, they have a manual, meaning they have a manual of what's expected depending what it is. If it's our rehab manual with our therapy program, they know what's expected because that chair has to make sure there's lesson plans done for that therapy program. But again, even if it's a garden program, we have a lot of vegetable garden programs there. They knew we have cool season gardening and warm season gardening. They have a garden log for that whole garden. They kept it. And again, it's easier for anybody stepping up to take control because they have the information. So again, it's an easy transition. And we do not have any burnout. And again, that's what we're hoping for. You are volunteers. You're not getting paid to do this. You're out there sweating along with everybody else. So again, why torture yourself and having to be a chair for so many years when this policy is set in place and you just go ahead and move on? Or you can stay with that committee. It works out really, really well. It's a win-win. Okay, rule number 6, incentives. There has to be some type of incentive because, we're all here to have fun while we do it. If we want to pull weeds, we'll go home and pull them myself. I myself been trying to figure out a way to get my farm as a sanctioned project just so I can get statewide master gardeners coming in to muck stalls and clean out my beds, but I'm not able to do that. But again, all the projects, again, I'm referring to Pulaski because I was there for 14 years, they got together like, as I mentioned before, the ones that met at the Art Center, they had Mimosa Monday. They met on Monday, did their work. After they worked, they had mimosas. They did morning. So we have a group that has wine Wednesdays. After they do their deal, theirs a little bit later. I think they waited till after lunch to drink their wine, but they met. They had a social hour or they had breaks at the projects, wherever they're doing. They socialize, they become family. So again, encourage that. It just makes a stronger bond. A lot of them will do garden tours, which I think y'all probably do here. Master gardeners have awesome gardens, and they always put up a tour just for master gardeners to tour other master gardeners' homes. So they do that. My projects were they had 30 there. I gotta stop saying mine, they're not mine anymore. 30 there, but they would have their own individual garden tours in there. Because you can imagine with 606, you divide that with 30 projects, they still had a large group. They would have inside garden tours for those individual groups. So suppers or sorwai, they'll always have like a progressive supper or something for those groups. They just loved to be around each other. And again, as you can imagine, I'm going to use that project we've had for 35 years. We have never lost anybody off of that project. They don't want to go off of that project. They want to stay on that project. They just rotate the chair rules. And again, they encourage new ones to come along. But again, it will be that way with your projects, I'm sure. Rule number 7, training and support. So with this, I encourage you. We're talking about leadership. P&G is a leadership. That is what it's for. How many are y'all involved in County 76 in here? Great. All you newbies here, you know that you can be part of County 76. I encourage you to join it. We have a quarterly meeting come up next Tuesday. It is a fun group. It is a counseling advisor group to the whole statewide program. So again, if you do not know anything about it, I encourage you to look it up. Call me, call Julie, ask one of your members here that are in County 76. You'll like it. But they put on 4 things. They're triple R, and then they also have leadership. They also have advanced training, and then they also have silent fundraising. But again, it's a great way to be involved, and you actually get to know what's going on ahead of time throughout the state. So I encourage you to do that. But P&G is a perfect place to go for leadership. It is, it's going to be August 20th and 21st. Hopefully that's correct, y'all. It's at the 4-H Center. And again, P&G's raising up money, so they cut the registration down really cheap. So again, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to attend, but you'll have fun. I think we're having a garden party. We're also having a hat garden hat competition too. I'm actually doing a sombrero. And in fact, I can't find one big enough to fit my head. My head's huge. I've tried them on, but I can't find one, but I'm supposed to be doing a sombrero garden hat. But again, we have that. We're training support. All the counties should think about having a chair and co-chair, meeting. Pulaski did theirs in January. They did it at the beginning of the year. They brought all the chairs and co-chairs in, and it was really a 10 to 2. We provided lunch, but we had a deal where all the chairs knew what's going on. What were some of the policy changes, financial changes, anybody need reimbursements, all that paperwork, everything was discussed concerning their projects. Then the project chairs would then go to their groups, and each one of those groups had a planning meeting for the year. So they knew what was going on in those projects that whole year with the people that more or less that worked on that project. So again, we did this, and some of our major ones were Horticulture Hotline. Hort Hotline was a place, I changed it to Sanction because we have a lot of seasoned master gardeners, not old, seasoned, that are getting new hips, new knees, new everything, so they're not able to dig in the dirt. Horticulture Hotline is where they came in and helped me with all the hort questions. They could sit in an air-conditioned office, a bathroom was close by, water fountain close by, and relax and just answer the phone. And again, we had training for that, just so they know how to answer the phone and what they were allowed to answer. But again, it is one way that we kept master gardeners involved. It is one way that we kept a master gardener taking a leave of absence because they're no longer to work on their project. They could come in and put their knee up or if you have hip surgery, I guess you can sit. Okay, I don't know. I haven't had hip surgery, so yet. But again, there is a way that they could come in and actually keep working and actually keep getting sanction hours. Horticulture therapy was another one. We actually have a program that we we work with stroke victims with plant therapy, and they do a great job, but there's special training for that, so we had training for that. And then plant propagation was a training program for anybody that's working like in the greenhouses. These are just examples of what we did for our sanctioned projects. These are just examples that we did to help our chairs and co-chairs out, just because they were looking for help. So this is one way you can do it. This is one way that chairs and sub-chairs are not intimidated about accepting those positions. Rule number 8, succession. It's a process of identifying individual. Who is going to be the next in line? And so that's one good thing about sanctioned projects. You have that chair here. She's there for 2 years. He or she's there for 2 years. You have that sub-chair stepping up. All you have to do is elect a new sub-chair. And usually it's a membership from that meeting that's been, that's in that group. So again, it's never been an issue so far. So again, and the reason why we're doing this is we don't want burnout. And we have master gardeners relocating. A lot of them might be moving close to their grandkids or something like that. So you're going to have to think about that when you're doing it. Or they're going to leave the group, maybe they're just tired of it and they just want to leave the group. So you're going to have to think about all that. God forbid if you have somebody chairing a project for many, many years and they get run over by a truck, then you're in trouble because that person's the only person that's ever known anything or handled anything like that. So you might want to think about that. Rule number 9, appreciation. And again, we do this with the group as a whole. Our county did it as a whole, and we had an award ceremony as a whole. The good thing about it is we kind of correlated with our nominations for state. So Hildy's here, right? Hildy, you still here? Triple R, they do a great job of doing award nominations. If we can get the counties on the same schedule as the state, you get all those information to award people, Master Garden of the Year, Friend of the Year. We do that early on. We had the same rules and everything. It was all done. And then whoever our group elected, that was in our award ceremony, they just moved, that information went straight to state. Those are our state candidates. So it works out. It's a win-win. Your group has decided who those people are going to be. Just pass that paperwork on, and for state, it works out great. It's just like qualifying for a fair. You have a county fair. Your heifer placed here, it qualifies you to go on to state. So again, think about that if you want to do that. I encourage an award system. Now, with that group, it didn't start there. Pulaski even had their own award system within their sanctioned project. And I'm going to use HAM, which is the Historic Arkansas Museum. They call themselves the Hammers. They have the Golden Hammer that's presented to one of their members in that group that's worked the most or has done something fantastic with that group. But they usually have something within that group to recognize. And it's very important to do that. And again, it's a great way of doing it. Also retreats. We'd have a retreat where we'd bring those chairs in at a certain place for a certain time. Or we're having a social gathering just for them. Or we're doing meal for them. Or we're doing a garden tour for them. You know, something that's gonna show that we appreciate all their hard work. And this is something that is very, very important. But the most important thing is, rule number 10, have fun. This is a volunteer organization. We are here to have fun. If you're not having fun, it's going to become a chore. Why would you want that? I mean, ugh. So again, have fun with it. So, do I have any questions? Yes, in the back. Oh wait, Gail, do I take questions or am I out of time? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just real quick, just in my opinion, well, let me ask it differently. How many projects? To me, it seems like we have too many projects.
Oh.
What is the criteria, or does Pleasant County use a different criteria to define and then vote on a project?
Yes. So your question is, on projects. So let's start at the beginning. When we elect a project, there's a project proposal. On that project proposal, there's a list of criteria that are must-haves before you'll accept one on. Our number ones are, it has to be nonprofit. They have to have bathrooms, they have to have parking, they must have water on the site if it's gonna be a bedding project, because I don't want my master gardeners hauling buckets of water in July and August. That's ridiculous. But there's a list. I think there was 10 on that list. It's been 2 years. I've forgotten what everything is. But that is what's going on. And also, when you're doing a project proposal, you have to know how many master gardeners is it going to take to maintain that project? How many hours is it going to take to maintain that project? And with that proposal, there's also a little map. That map is sketched of the bed. I'm using a garden for example. It sketches of the beds in that project. And the reason for that, because you can get, your county judge will say, oh, you're doing this one. Why not just go ahead and do this bed? Project creeping, we don't want that. Because pretty soon you'll be doing the whole courthouse or the whole acreage. You're only putting the beds on there that you are maintaining. So that is all done in the project proposal. That then goes to the executive board. This is how they did it. I'm not saying this is how you have to do it. The executive board looks over that and says, okay, this passed, this is great. But also, executive board's going to require, if this project is voted in by the General Assembly at the next meeting, who is going to chair that project? Who is going to sub-chair that project? It is listed on there. Because if it gets voted in, it's ready to go. Now they can recruit membership for it, and usually if a master gardener is wanting to promote this, she's doing the background work. She's already out there looking for people in that group to help with that project. So that project is ready to go. Now, once a project is already adopted, again, Pulaski has 30 sanctioned projects. Those projects are reviewed. Now, there's 30. If you have a smaller than that, you can review those every year. We were not able to do that. We reviewed 10 to 11 projects a year. So at least that sanctioned project got reviewed at least once every 3 years. And there is a review board. And there's members on that review board. And one of the members at large on the executive board was in charge of that. And so there again was an project evaluation form, another form that we fill out. Is it meeting all these criteria? If it's not meeting those criteria, it goes out, meaning it's no longer going to be considered. Meaning if you're not having people there to maintain it, we want our projects looking good all the time. First of all, if it's starting to look bad, that sign is pulled. We don't want to market anything that's going to look bad. But if you're not getting the people to vote the time to maintain it, then that's one good thing. It's a way to do it. Now, you're going to get some people that don't want it to go away as a sanctioned project because they've been there for years and years and they love it. We tell them, okay, it's not going to be voted out. It's voted out as a sanctioned project, but you are more than welcome to work on it as community outreach hours. You still get credit for hours for it just won't be sanctioned hours. And with a seasoned master gardener, it's 20/20, 20 work, 20 education. Half of those hours, those 20 work hours, can have to be on sanction. The other half can be sanctioned or community outreach. So if they want to do that, they're welcome to stay on that project and do it as community outreach. Does that answer your question? All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
How does the 2 years affect co-chairs on a project?
2 years, okay, for co-chairs. Here's the deal. That co-chair will be there 4 years if you think about it. Because usually, unless something happens, you're on the way up. But yeah, you'll have your chair, you'll have your co-chair. And again, your chair's got that position for 2 years. Then the sub-chair, this is just how Pulaski did it. The sub-chair stepped up on that and took 2 years. So she was devoted to that project for 4 years. Now you don't have to, but it's more paperwork. If you want your sub-chairs to have only 1 year, it's more paperwork to do it, but you also lose them in the process. We wanted to keep that sub-chair there just so she knew what was going on the whole time. She's not intimidated about stepping up and taking on the project because she's been there that 2 years with that chair.
Is it limited 2 years for co-chairs?
Well, usually, yeah, because usually that co-chair steps up.
But they may not.
Yeah, they may not. So then you're in a world of hurt. We were just very fortunate that they stayed. I mean, they it worked for us.
Right.
Now sad to say, we did have some co-chairs that die. We're very fortunate that we're retaining a lot of our master gardeners. I mean, we had to move up the lifetime plus now because you're living a long time. So again, we're having that same deal, but again, it happens. I was losing 10 master gardeners a year by death. It's sad to say, but it happens. So again, those were special scenarios, and we had to fill those in. Yes, in the back.
If a chair has stepped down and it's been about 5 or 6 years since they've been a chair, can they come back?
Yes. Did y'all hear that? Can they reapply? Yes, and I think ours was 5 years. I can't remember. They can step back up and do it. But usually what happens is the individual projects, they more or less are talking about who's going to be stepping up as a sub-chair in that group. And we've never had I can't say we ever had a repeat. It's just that they're out there recruiting for their project. They're out there recruiting master gardeners for that project. And so they're just somebody new always stepping up in the sub-chair. But I think after 5 years, I think it was a 5-year mark, that person could step back up. Or if it just so happens that death happened and a scenario happened, that they could fill in as an interim until that year end. But that's how we handle that. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Oh, can you reach his camera?
Thank you, Randy. Okay, we're going to move on to another topic now. This was discussed at the board meeting this month, and I want the general membership to have all the information as well. Many of you are aware that we depend on the Extension Homemakers Council in many ways. We use their building for our training each year. They don't charge us a penny. They're out there during plant sale, serving meals, very cheap, discounted meals. They're there during county fair. Many of us will go in and get a sandwich during county fair, very cheap. The use of that facility has become extremely important. And not only that, we have to remember that the EHC is part of that umbrella that is under the Extension Service. They're a sister organization. And it has come to our attention that they need some assistance this year. So I'd like to ask Jane Oliver and Barbara Bradstreet to come up and give you a little information about what's going on in EHC and some of the difficulties they've had. Please.
Thank you, Gail. First of all, I want to say Barbara said that she didn't have anything to say. So if you know Barbara, okay, we're believing that.
Very nice.
She said it wasn't nice. We're good friends, so I can say that. The EHC, as you know, owns the building that's there on the fairgrounds. And as being owners of that building, it's just like being owners of your home. We have to do all of the upkeep. We have 6 air conditioners, 6 furnaces, a walk-in freezer, a walk-in cooler, refrigerators, ice maker, dishwasher, all those things that have to, sometimes things can go wrong with. This year we've had about $5,000 in repairs to air conditioners and furnaces, which that building is, I believe, 16 years old. Most of that equipment is at least that old. Some of it was moved from the old fairgrounds. So it's aging like all of us and needs some upkeep. So we've had that. And then we desperately needed a new floor. So I want to say word got out to some of the other organizations that we had a floor fund so we could pull the money together to get the extra money. And several organizations did step up and give us money, which really helped out a lot. And we reached our goal to be able to go ahead and go on with the floor. And then we did had some walls painted, and we still have more to do. But our basic income comes from the county fair and the arts and craft fair, which we are very grateful that we do get some help in the kitchen from all you master gardeners that come and work a shift, because that's important to us, because we have about 100 members, I think, and there again, we had an aging membership, and not all of them are able to stand on their feet and help in the kitchen. So we're always glad for any help we get from you. And then we also get money from another good source is our catering committee, and I'll let Barb tell you about that.
Well, the only thing I want to say about the catering committee is, first of all, you can use the building for meetings, reunions, Christmas parties, etc. The only charge is for a meal. We have to provide a meal. And the money that comes from that is for the catering committee, which supports the building. But we're one of the few buildings, I would say, in Hot Springs that doesn't have a building charge. And they go up. I was talking to someone recently, they paid $7,000 to use the building before any other expenses. So the catering committee is really important. Anyone can schedule a meeting or a reunion. We do several Christmas parties every year. So all the expenses I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. I don't like speaking publicly. All the proceeds go to support the building. And it amounts to a good amount of money. So if you'd like to have something there, we'd love to have you contact us and schedule it.
Okay.
Okay. I think Jane and Barb made you aware that they had some major expenses that have come up this year, and they're anticipating several more large expenses. Jane did not mention, and I think this was discussed at an executive meeting, that they were hit really hard during the 2020 COVID issues because they couldn't host these various events. And so they have been working very hard to try to maintain that building on a very limited budget, partly because of being hard hit by the 2020 problems that everyone had, the pandemic, but also because many of the expenses are now beginning to occur and they're going to be strapped for money. Now, we discussed this with the board, and one possibility that we would like to suggest is that we have a fund that was created several years ago, the Coleus Fund, that has been in our books and is always there as part of the money that comes from the plant sale. We already know that in the 2025 budget, we will have $3,500 sitting in that Coleus Fund. We have used it in the past for beautification projects. We have purchased sculptures in the Greenway. We have planted fruit trees along the area by the farmer's market. We've done many, many very worthwhile projects. When we started researching what the definition is in the Coleus Fund, and we had that printed in your in the newsletter so that you would have a copy of it if you chose to read it. And we also had some extra copies printed out today. Although we have mainly used it for beautification in the past years, it does not specify beautification projects. It can be for any worthwhile use. This past year, we used it to support the hospitality room at the state conference. So we have a precedent of using this in many, many varied ways, however our group feels is the wisest and best use of those funds. Therefore, we have developed a motion, and I'd like to go to that motion. This comes from the Executive Committee and the Garland County Master Gardener Board. And I'm going to tweak this just a bit because this was brought to my attention the way the motion was actually made at the board meeting. We move to use up to $3,000 of the Coleus Fund that in the 2025 budget to support the Extension Homemakers Council in repairs and renovation projects on the EHC is what it should be, EHC building at the Garland County Fairgrounds. Okay, up to means that we will cover projects as the EHC brings us a specific project with a specific amount. You know, the state has certain guidelines. We can't just give a group money, but we can have a sponsorship where we will cover specific cost of specific items and can transfer it as a sponsorship of an item. So if they want to bring us a bill for the painting of the building, that could be part of that $3,000. If they have to replace a freezer, we can cover part of that up to $3,000 in this bill. So EHC will give us a list of the things they want and need, and then we will work out with the U of A way to sponsor those things up to $3,000. Okay, discussion. Yes. Discussion.
I move. When we have a motion, it hasn't been seconded.
It doesn't have to be.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be
Okay.
because it came from the board.
Are we gonna discuss?
I think typically you have discussion and then a motion and second. So I'm calling for discussion. Anybody have questions or comments? Debbie?
I was just gonna say, if that's a motion from a committee, the motion has already been presented.
Okay.
And I second it.
You don't even have to
A second?
You don't have to have a second.
So now we just have discussion and vote.
Okay, discussion then vote.
I think it's a
great idea. If we've been paying them rent all these years for our teaching, I mean, it would have been a lot more than $3,000. I think it's a great idea.
Tricia?
Is this a one-shot deal?
Yes.
Yes.
If it is, would EHC kind of review their budget in that charge us for?
They can't. It's the violence.
Oh darn.
Yes, Randy, you want?
Okay, and Gail is right, and the reason she was saying the way y'all had to do it is called, the wording on it is because EHC is a nonprofit organization. We are nonprofit. Nonprofit can't give to nonprofit, so that's the reason why she's saying it has to be, sponsorship or support, I'm thinking would be a better term. Support to get the money, like she's right, if they needed something to be paid, that would be the only way you could legally do that. So.
Debbie?
I guess one question I had just for clarification,
Just for clarification, because I can see this being an issue. We're saying up to the $3,000. Is that open for how long? I mean, is there a time frame on that, or
It is in the 2025 budget, so at the end of 2025, we have a new budget. Coleus Fund carries over. Any money remaining in the Coleus Fund carries over to the next year and becomes part of the 2026 budget.
It does. That's why I'm asking this question. Are we going to earmark the $3,000 as a separate line item for that and keep that open for an extended period of time, or is that only during the 2025 year?
I think for this vote, it is only in the 2025 budget, but that is up to the membership to bring this up in future years to see what their needs are. That's always a possibility in future years, but we are not writing it in stone that it'll be every year.
One of my goals as a staff chair is to have our 4-H, our Master Gardeners, and our EHC all work together. And EHC has been an integral part of the Master Gardener program here. And just to do a little bit of a quick math, let's just say we pay what we pay for this facility, $100 a day. We have 5 Master Gardener trainings. That's $500 a year times at least the last 20 years. I've been here 20. So that's $10,000 right here that EHC has given us. And what we're doing is we're keeping the cost low so that we can continue to get Master Gardeners in here to do the educational program. So I think this is a very worthwhile endeavor.
Yes, Joni.
Hey, and I think the EHC, they do a lot of things people don't realize, like they, not just for us, but for 4-H. 4-H meets there a lot, which is part of, I mean, they're not part of Master Gardeners, but it's teaching kids things that we want to extend out to them. And so I think the EHC is great for that. And if you haven't been there and seen, they've got new flooring down they put in that they needed. They just had all the walls painted. They do a lot for the community, and we're supposed to be a community group. So in that, I just wanted to.
Okay. All right. Call for question. Okay. All right. Those in favor? Aye. Aye. Those opposed? Nay. Okay. Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, we're getting to the end. Do we have a drawing today for any show and tell gifts? Yes. Okay, well, while they're doing that, come on up and let's get that started. I think Shar had a very quick announcement. Let me bring the mic back there.
Did you get your name in the drawing?
Well, Shara and I are working, I'm the co-chair of the Fair Committee, And I just wanted to let everybody know that the theme is Go Native. And the fair starts September 7th, and the last day is September 14th. We're going to have sign-up sheets. We'll have sign-up Genius, and we'll also have sign-up sheets in the August meeting. We're having a contest called the Ultimate Potting Party. So what that involves is everybody, we'd love to have everybody kind of participate. You need a pot, and you make it into a face, or you can make it into a little person. And that way, when the master gardeners have this, it's a contest, that way we have people, everybody that comes into our horticulture building, they get to vote, and that way it also tells us how many people have been to our buildings. And that's important, because we'd really like to have a lot of people come through. Let's see, we have 6 exhibitors confirmed. If there's any other ideas, please let us know. We don't want anybody that's going to be out there selling. We just want it to be an informative thing. And plus, it's so much fun to be on this committee. You know, you can make your little guy your face. We greet everybody that comes in. It's a fun thing. So we hope that everybody will be involved. Do you have anything else, Shar?
Other than we will need some new co-chairs and chairs for next year.
Okay.
Did she say the theme is Go Naked?
Go naked.
But maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Okay, so until.
As state coordinator, clothes have to stay on.
Oh, you're no fun.
Okay, y'all, I got 2 things. One is, when I was asked how much should be in the budget for the parade, I said I would be happy to chair that committee. And I think a lot of people had fun with it and working on that project. And the only thing is, it's a go if somebody has a place for us to work on it. And it needs to be close to the transportation depot, because that's where the parade starts. And if someone can get in touch with me, I'm Karen Grisham, I'm in the roster, or any of the executive committee. If you have a place that we can work on this float, we work on it from January to March. And it's a nice way to, you know, get involved and get to know other people, because it's inside, you know, it's cold, and so it's inside somewhere, and it's fun. I mean, just to show a hand, how many people work in some way, form, or fashion on this committee? Yeah, and I hope some more of you would love to work on this committee as well. And we need ideas, and we'll vote on those. Hopefully, if we get a place to work on it. So that's it. Okay. Our show and tell table is a little different today. When you walked in the door, you must have met Fernella L. Fiddlehead. L is for Louise. And anyway, she wanted you to guess what is on this page and put the answers that you have in her purse. So, I want to thank Sandy, Heidi, Ellen, Paula, Elaine, Jody, and Mary Ann for submitting these pictures and telling me what they are. And a lot of you did not walked up to the table and said, well, they're ferns, or somebody wrote the green ones. That was their answer. Yeah, and so ferns are a lot of fun, and I learned so much. So please take the papers on how to care for them, how to identify them. We don't call them leaves, we call them fronds. So we want you to be educated on how to even talk about ferns. So, the first, I'm gonna tell what the answers are, then I'm gonna tell the winner, because it's not luck this time, it's what you know about ferns. Okay. The first one is a holly fern, and it's also a Christmas fern. Number two is one common name for it is southern shield fern. Number three is Japanese painted fern. Number four is a lady fern. Number five is a bracken fern. And number six is a maidenhair fern and sandy morad's foot. Number seven is a sensitive fern. Number 8 is a cinnamon fern. And number 9 is an ostrich fern. 10 is an autumn fern. And number 11 is an eagle fern, which was new to me. And anyway, if you don't know about all the ferns, then pick up a flyer. And where's our purse? Now I didn't mean to talk so much, but I wanted to tell you what the ferns were. Okay.
What about the botanical names on those ferns?
I intentionally left that off. Yeah. Okay. The winner of Guess the Fern contest is Becky Lands, the Kimberly Wilson. Oh, there you go. You get on the way up.
Okay, one final announcement as we are leaving today. P&G, if you have never attended P&G, Garland County Master Gardeners will pay your registration fee. So any of you who want to go to P&G, you need to register. You'll do your registration and attend, then you'll be reimbursed that registration fee. So if you want to go, please sign up. Registrations are filling. I heard the other day they're about 75% full now. So there are not a lot of slots left. When they get to 120, they can't take anymore. So if you're interested, yes.
If y'all, since your money now is housed in a different bank or extension office, that registration fee, if you're going to reimburse, when you do the registration form, there's a box about if your county is paying for it, you'll check that box because we'll do an ISD.
Well, we have an issue with that, Randy, because they must actually attend. Sometimes we've had people register and then not go. So they have to go and attend it, and then we will reimburse them.
Okay.
Sorry
about that, y'all. I was just going to make it easier on the transaction.
Yeah. Jane, yes. Okay, P&G is plant, nurture, grow. And really, it's just a play on words about growing your membership, giving them those leadership skills, nurturing those people, and bringing them up through the system.